Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Patreon podcast. This week, I wanted to talk about how you can manage the things that happen in your life that you don't often expect. I like to call it the own, embrace, fix, or endure, because those are really the four main reactions that you can have to something happening in your life. And now, these four things happen based on whether or not you can control the thing that happened, and whether or not that thing that happened was good or bad. Now, I'll give you an example of what happened to me on New Year's Day. So I release a sample pack every month, and on New Year's Day I released the first one of 2020, which I had, usually when I put out the sample packs, I have them free for a month. So I have a coupon code, and this coupon code was, it was free 2020 because it was the new decade and I was excited. However, I wasn't aware that Gumroad, if you put a string of text into the price field, it will strip away all the letters and just leave the numbers. So people were paying $2,020 for a silly little sample pack that I made. And this caused a lot of issues. I got a lot of chargebacks. I got a lot of very frantic and concerned emails. Thankfully, nobody was really mad. They were just, concerned because they just spent $2,000 on a silly thing. And because of all of this money going back and forth, Gumroad suspended my account. And it was a very, very stressful day. I was at my parents' house on New Year's Day, and then I went to a party that afternoon, and I had to leave the party early to actually manage all of this stuff. It was very difficult. But getting to the point, I was very stressed out, and I did my best to control or to fix the situation. It was under my control, and it was bad. So I did my best to work and fix the situation. I refunded purchases that I could. I talked to the Gumroad support line, and they were very helpful. But at some point, it was like 11 o'clock at night. Their support was done for the day. I couldn't do anything more. So I went to bed because I had to go to work the next day. And I was just lying there thinking about like the $8,000 still floating around on the internet and how stressed everybody else was. And I couldn't think of a way to get that out of my head to go to sleep. And I brought myself back to these four tenets on how you should react to things. And at the moment, it was bad, and I couldn't do anything about it. So the best thing I could do is endure or ignore it until tomorrow. Like, obviously I wasn't ignoring it forever. I was just ignoring it until the next day. So I did my best to push all of these thoughts away so I could just focus on getting sleep, because I had to go to work the next day. And that was, very important to me too, because that's how I make most of my money right now. Thankfully, the next day I was able to talk to Gumroad support, get the instructions I needed to refund the rest of the money, get my account unsuspended, and everything's back to normal. But I think it was a really good indicator of how you can use these just basic reactions to things that happen in your life. Like, try to fix it as much as you can, and if you can't fix it anymore, ignore it until you can fix it again. And obviously these are very, very basic, and they might not work under extreme circumstances or anything like that. But for anything that randomly happens in your life, this could be a good thing. And I'll talk about what happens when it's a good thing too. So aside from my experiential example, there are two things. I got a little off track. Whether you can control something or not, let's do a little thought experiment here. When it comes to creativity, one thing that you can control is a marketing campaign. Let's say that you put out a marketing campaign and it's good. That's great. It's getting lots of traction. It's just doing what you want it to do, and that's great. So what you can do is you can own that. If it's something you can control and it's good, own it. Try to boost it more. Try to get more people involved. Just try to make sure that anybody who is interested in this kind of thing gets eyeballs on it. So, if you put out a marketing campaign, something that you can control, and it's bad, the best thing you can do is damage control. You can fix it. It's something where if you put something out and people are interpreting it the wrong way, or it has some kind of message that you weren't intending, do your best to fix that right away. There's so many people that double down on something that was wrong, and they try to make it feel like that's what they intended on doing initially, and that's their goal. And it's like, no, if there's something wrong with what you're doing, you should fix that. You should work on trying to make it right and make it the vision and the message that you wanted to convey initially. So let's talk about something that happens on social media that you can't control, and that's going viral. So if you go viral and it's a good thing, people like you post an image or a song that really resonates with people and people start sharing it. What you can do there is you can embrace it. And you can it's basically just like owning it, except you have no control over it. You can just embrace that this good thing happened to you. And I think that you can do some things at that point to own it and to help spread the word even more. But virility, when it comes to this kind of stuff, really just kind of happens. And there's not a whole lot you can do about it, especially as a smaller artist. Like if you're a large company, there's ways to make things go viral, and that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, it's good to just embrace that and ride the wave and just do your best to, soak up all that positive energy. And now, the worst case scenario is if you go viral for something bad. Say you said something, again, maybe taken out of context, or somebody like drudged up information about you, or just something bad. And this happens a lot. Some people, again, go and double down and they try to justify what they said, or they try to justify why they said it, or something like that. And it's important to just, at that point, especially with the short attention span of the internet, it's good to just try to endure or ignore it. And that often means stepping away from social media for a bit, which sucks because social media is your lifeblood. But when something like that happens, you can do as much damage control as possible. Again, some of these things you can't control, but there are aspects of it that you can. And it's important to fix as much as you can, but at some point, it's just out of your hands. And at that point, you need to figure out if you need to endure it or ignore it. And I mean, it's not a great set of options, but I think that that's really the best you can do at that point. So those are the four reactions that I try to keep in mind when something happens to me. And it's really nice to have this as just a little guide to help me understand how I should kind of focus on the things that go on during the day. And it doesn't apply to everything, but I've found that it applies to most things. And that's really the most valuable thing to have is just, this thing happened. Excuse me, this thing happened. What can I do in response to that? So that's all I have for this episode. Thank you guys so much for being a Patreon supporter. It means the world to me. And I hope you enjoyed the episode, and thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Be remarkable.